back it up, go and put your weight on it.
Eyeball.
I've been on my worst behavior, but baby, I don't need no savior. I'm way out of line, but I kinda like the way
Guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new, and if you're returning, as always, we love you. So I guess this video is long awaited. A lot of y'all have been asking, or some of our friends and loyal subscribers been asking for us to do a wig tutorial for the longest. So now here it is. This is pretty much, this might be the channel's first hair tutorial. If you want to see how I got this look, continue watching. So the wig that we're working with today is from WESTKISS hair. This is not a sponsored video. I bought this wig with my own money. This unit is 34 inches, a 5x5 closure, 180% density, and has HD lace. So we're going to be dyeing this unit today using the watercolor method. I'm going to be using these two permanent hair dyes by Dark and Lovely. One is in jet black and the other is in midnight blue. And I did these two colors combined because I want that really black dark color. Now we're just going to fill up some water. We're going to be boiling it. You don't have to boil it, but you do want to make sure it's hot in order to do the watercolor. So while that's getting hot, I'm going to take some Got2b spray and spray it all over my lace, regardless if you have a closure or a lace frontal. You want to make sure that you're spraying the entire lace to make sure that you're not getting any of the dye onto the lace and tinting it. Now we're just taking out the dye. You're going to take out the developer and the color, mix them together, shake it really well, and then I let them sit for about 5 minutes before I dump them into the hot water. So now that your dye is mixed up, the water is clearly hot. You're gonna pour the color into the water and stir it really, really well. You wanna make sure you stir the color well because you don't want any clumps of dye sitting at the bottom and then the hair to dye unevenly or come out patchy looking. Now you're going to take your wig and you're going to completely saturate it into that watercolor. Make sure all of the wig is inside the pot or the bucket that you're using. For this part, I like to make sure that all of my hair is inside of the color, but I like to have the top of my lace where the hairline starts out of the pot so that I know for sure I'm not tinting the beginning of my hairline. But other than that, you do want to make sure your hair is completely saturated so it's completely dyeing. Now that your 20 minutes is up, you're going to take the unit out of the dye and you're going to rinse it with some cool water. As you can see, none of the dye got onto our lace, which is perfect. And you're going to just run this under the cool water until the dye runs clear into the sink. Now we're going to go into bleaching the knots. So you're going to use a bowl, some Clairol BW2 powder, and I like to use number 30 developer. Since we're just doing a closure, I'm not going to use but so much powder. So I'm taking about 2 scoops, maybe 2.5 of powder, putting it into the bowl, and then I'm going to eyeball how much developer I use. This is important because this is going to depend on the type of consistency that you have of the bleach. So like I said, I eyeball how much developer I add to my powder just to see how thick and how thin I'm making it. So I'm gonna stir that up, and as you can see, it's really crummy. So I'm gonna add some more just to smoothen that out. The consistency that we're looking for is a really creamy base. Almost like, the best way that I can describe is like pudding. Like, you don't want it too soupy to where it's gonna run and over bleach the knots, but you want it smooth enough to where it can just paste onto the lace. So now we're gonna take the bleach and dye the knots. With this process, you wanna use a very light hand. Now we already have the perfect consistency, that nice pasty, very smooth kind of texture, but you still want to use a light hand. You don't want to press onto the lace. As you can see, this is not sped up. I'm doing this in real time, and I'm just lightly applying it to the lace. Now, once you've applied the bleach all over the lace, this is how I can tell that it's going to bleach evenly. I'm getting all of the knots. You should be able to lift the hair up carefully, very gently, and see the bleach onto the knots. This is also how you're going to check over time if your knots are developing how you want them to. So I let the bleach sit for about 15 minutes. Once it's done, I'm going to take this Shimmer Lights purple shampoo, rinse the bleach completely. You want to make sure all of the bleach is off. If it gets into the hair, make sure you rinse that off. And then you're going to take your purple shampoo and completely wash the lace. You're going to wash the inside of the lace, the outside of the lace where the hairline is, and this is going to get rid of that orange and brassiness that's on the lace. Once I've got a nice lather and I've rubbed the purple shampoo all over the lace, I'm going to let that sit for about 5 minutes and then come back and completely rinse all of that off. Now we're gonna move into plucking. Plucking, I know, can sometimes be really tricky, especially if you're a beginner, but I'm gonna try to explain this the best that I can, and this is in real time, so if you need to, you can always go back, pause it, but first things first, you're gonna wanna take your wig head and use a towel. The towel is gonna help you see exactly like your progress as you're plucking. So here I'm just parting the hair down the middle, and I'm gonna start on one side. I like for my hair to be wet when I'm plucking, but the first thing that I'm gonna do is take a little section of that front piece of the closure. And this is just to ensure that I'm not plucking the hair too much and making the start of my hairline bald almost. So the goal here is to make the hairline as sparse and as natural as possible. So what I like to do is do about 3 to 4 plucks in one section and then jump over to a whole new section. You want to keep moving around as you pluck as much as possible to avoid balding. You also don't want to make the hairline too thin, because in reality, over time, the hair is going to start to shed. It's going to start to thin out and wear out on its own. So if you make it too thin from the get-go, then in the future you're gonna look forward to a balding frontal or closure. This is in real time. Again, you can pause it, go back, but I'm really just gonna keep doing the same thing over and over again, very carefully parting each section back, to keep going further into the hairline. And I'm gonna still do the same plucking method that I first initially did. I'm gonna continue to pluck about 3-4 times once the hair is wet, and then move on to a whole different chunk or a whole different section within the frontal. So now that I've went about 3 or 4 rows back into the hairline, I'm gonna comb all of the hair back just to see my progress. And this is how I can compare side by side of how much I've plucked or how much more I need to pluck. Now I'm just gonna spray the hairline, and I'm going to pluck a little bit of the very front of it, just so I can get that nice and sparse look, because again, a hairline is not perfect. It's supposed to be as natural as possible. So now I'm just going to do the same exact thing that I did on the other side to this side. Once I finish plucking that side, I'm going to comb all of the hair to the back just to see how much progress I've made, if I like what I've done, or if I need to do some more. Then I'm going to take my tweezers and continue to pluck the very front and base of my hairline to continue to get that sparse and natural look. Once I continue to comb that back, I'm going to stop myself, because you don't want to overdo it and pluck way too much. And this is about how much hair I plucked out. So now I'm just putting the closure onto my head, placing it where I want it to be, a little bit in front of my hairline. It looks really nice. I like how it turned out. I'm gonna take this Eben hair, I think I'm pronouncing it right, the Eben lace spray, or it's kind of like the got to be glue. I'm gonna spray that all over my forehead and where the lace is going to lay. I'm just using my finger to apply it. Sometimes I use a comb, but it really doesn't matter. And I'm only using a little bit since it's a closure. I'm gonna do about 3 to 4 layers of the spray and wait till it gets tacky to place the lace down and dry it. So while my dryer is on cool and it gets nice and tacky, I'm gonna take the lace and place it where I want it to melt into my skin. Once I've put that down, I'm gonna take a comb and kind of push this into my skin even more. This is just gonna make it melt and really seem seamless for once I cut the lace off. Now that I melted that into my skin, I'm just going to take this elastic band, wrap it around my hairline so it continues to melt, and let that sit. Here I'm just taking some bio silk and a wax stick, and I'm going to part my hair in the middle, but I'm going to do sections of the wax stick to ensure that the closure is going to be flat. You'll see what I mean. So now that I'm done with my hot comb, I'm just going to remove that piece of elastic, and I'm really going to be able to see how it melted now that the hair is flat and I've had that elastic sitting on my hairline for a few minutes. So now we're just going to be cutting off the lace. What I like to do is cut it straight down the middle with a pair of scissors. Then I'm going to take a razor and just go right along the line of the hairline. I like to use a razor from time to time just because it gives it that jagged look. You can do scissors too. I kind of go in between with razors and scissors, but you just want to make sure you're not cutting exactly straight across because it may look too perfect. And again, we want this hairline to look as natural as possible. As I'm cutting off the lace, you can kind of see that the glue kind of lifted, so it's leaving like a white cast. All I'm taking on my finger is a little bit of alcohol, and I'm literally just taking it on my finger and rubbing it into the lace so that way I can get rid of that white cast. But you don't want to do too much because that may end up lifting the lace. Now, if you're not a baby hair girl, this is the end of the video for you. But if you are, here I'm just parting out and like kind of giving a curve type of part to where I want my baby hairs. Now that I've parted out where I want my baby hairs to be, I'm just gonna cut them. You want to cut them a little long. You don't want to start out too short because that gives you more room to work with if you do want to make them shorter in the end. Now this is my favorite method. What I'm doing here is I'm taking this thin flat iron and I'm going to curl the baby hairs. Curling the baby hairs really just allows you a super easy way to mold the baby hairs exactly how you want them to look. You don't have to manually make your own swoop almost. Now I'm just taking some styling foam. I normally wouldn't use Nairobi because it's not as water-based as other foams, but this is what I mean by this is how you get that effortless kind of swoop and curl of the baby hairs. So really, because the hair is already curled, once I put that foam onto the baby hairs, it's really just me fiddling and kind of playing with the baby hairs with the comb. I'm also using a baby hair brush and I'm using the comb side because that's going to allow me to kind of curl it in the way that exactly how it's already going. Also, as you can see, I'm using my finger really to press down the baby hairs with the mousse. So I'm pressing it down into my skin and then just combing it out. But because it has that curl, it's already going in the direction that I want it to go. Also, feel free to pluck out the baby hairs if you feel like they're too thick. I like my baby hairs dramatic like this from time to time, but you can also go in and take some hairs out. Once my baby hairs are in the place that I want them to be, I'm just going to take some concealer and clean up that middle part. When I finish doing that, I'm going to take a silk wrap and wrap that around my baby hairs and let those set. Okay guys, so this is pretty much the final look. Let me just tell y'all, I love it. This is pretty much how it came out. I'm contemplating if I want to comb out the baby hairs just to give it more of a soft look, but I'm pretty sure I'm about to go out right now, so I think I might just keep them like down like this. I'm gonna show you how long this is. Again, it's 34 inches. I'm 5'2", so yeah, this is just how long it is on me. Like, can you imagine I'm in the club not knowing how to act? Because I can, I see it. But I love the wig, it did really well. Let me know what you guys think. Go ahead and do what you already know you need to do, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell and share this video. Share it on your pages, send it to your friends, all that great stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see more videos like this or more hair tutorials, you can DM us. Our social media is always in the description as well. We love you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.